and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome you here tonight with us. We are so excited that you're here. Tonight, I want to remind you that if you have not already signed up to be on our mailing list, please do so by going to thegalacticalliance.org, or you can check us out on the consciousawakeningnetwork.org, and you can catch all of our replays on YouTube on the Conscious Awakening Network channel. Now, tonight we have a very special guest with us, our good friend, Alan Seinfeld. And Alan is an explorer of consciousness, as we all know. And for over 30 years, he's hosted and produced the weekly television series New Realities in New York City. He's a writer, a producer, and he is a speaker in the field of human potential, metaphysics, conscious evolution, healing, creativity, spiritual awareness, cosmic intelligence, and he's a good friend to the Galactic Alliance. So tonight, Alan's going to talk to us about government lies and deception, and about the current state of UFO disclosure and the fight for truth. Alan, it is always so good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing great. It's great to be back in the cosmic conversation with some Joanne. We were in Egypt together, and of course, Bridget, I've known forever, but never met her. I've known her.
Yeah.
Is a great friend. And Kevin, of course, we go everywhere together, Kevin. We used to. And yeah, a lot of faces back in touch. So everyone's aware of. And Robert, good to see you again. And okay, but everyone knows that we are in a struggle for truth, right? At the latest government disclosures, and then the government saying no, 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 that's not true. Oh, Heidi, hi Heidi, good to see you there. So we're in a struggle to see if enough of us can make a difference in the world to bring real disclosure. And of course, we don't need government to tell us what's real and what's not real, but government does control the nature of reality in a sense. It's like the church saying the earth is the center of the cosmos of creation. And then Galileo says, no, I don't think so. And he's put in jail. And so we're in a similar state. We're in a similar state where those holding the definitions of reality are kind of keeping the masses of people unconscious. And there's always a little cutting edge group of artists and visionaries that are saying, no, it's not what you tell us it is, and so that's sort of where we are. And there was this big, and I'll show some clips from them, as maybe everyone saw the Gary Nolan and the David Grush clips from acknowledging the existence, and the government just a few days ago, maybe I'll show that here. Can't
because Grush really made an impact.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that he really made an impact by coming forward and giving voice to all of these other people.
A huge impact, huge. That was like a turning point in the history of the UFO phenomenon. Yeah. But this recently, let me just see if I can show this. Where is it? This is like less than a week old. This government document from the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, saying there's 167 pages. We're not going to go through all of it. Basically saying all the things you thought were UFOs were secret government projects. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's one big bundle of lies and fabrications. And let me see if let me show you like one little thing about, if you look up, yeah, anyone could download this file here. So if you look this up, or Roswell, maybe. Let me just say. But anyway, they're saying, yeah, people thought they saw things and they didn't see things. And here, this page, many of these technologies fit the description of stereotypical unidentified flying objects. It's understandable. Do you see that on your screen? How observed unfamiliar, these programs, meaning these secret programs, could mistake sightings of these new technologies as something extraordinary and otherworldly, but they don't say what these new technologies are. They're just saying, oh, people mistakenly took these objects for UFO or off-world vehicles. And basically, this is a big bundle of lies and fabrication and excuse.
You said this just came out. This document just came out.
This came out is called the. You can look it up online. Go to the. Let me see how I got it. The AARO historical record, and it came out. It came out in March, less than a week ago, March 6th, I think it was.
So now, are they trying to discount the congressional hearings that took place?
They not only discounted, they basically call those guys liars and fabricators.
Oh.
So this is like something inside the Pentagon where there's these two opposing forces that are fighting each other over truth. It's like it's pretty awful. And let me see, I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to show you that I put together. Are people familiar with this? Is this news? Or, I mean, not that the government's lying, but is it news? Is it news to you, Bridget?
It is not news to me. I have actually been keeping up a little bit. You'll be so proud of me.
Yeah, I'm on it too, but I always love hearing what you have to say, Alan, and just appreciate you for getting this information together in a way that is this way.
Who said that?
100%.
Who just?
I'm Bridget in Oregon, and very, very happy to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone knows my book, right? Making Contact. People know that book?
Yes.
Commercial.
I think Phil has shared the original copy with us many times.
Good to see my old friend Gary there. Gary. Okay, so I'm going to just go this little PowerPoint, little kind of review the background on how we've been lied to by a lot of people over the many, many years. It's a little summary of here. Do you see that on your screen now?
Yes.
Let's go. Presenters. Of course, here we are breaking through to another level of reality, right? So this is what we're dealing with, how to move from one level of consciousness to another. And that's what we've always been dealing with here. And let me see what this is. No. Okay. So basically it comes down to truth always passes through three stages. First, it's ridiculed, then it's opposed, and then it's self-evident. So we're out of the ridicule phase. Now we're into the opposition phase. So we're not far from the self-evident phase. So, you know, when Galileo confirmed Copernicus's idea that the Earth was not the center of creation, the church says to assert that the Earth revolves around the sun is erroneous to say that Jesus was not born a virgin. So there's always these opposing two different ways of looking at the world that don't seem to fit. There's another great example here. When railroads were created, President Martin Van Buren said in 1829, railroads which carry people at enormous speeds of 15 miles an hour by engines, endangering life and limb of passengers and setting fire to crops, scaring children and livestock. The Almighty certainly never intended people to travel at such breakneck speed. So we're always one paradigm behind the general public, you know, and the people doing the kind of officiating. This is one of my favorite little clips. 1906, Scientific America said the Wright brothers are hoaxers. And they said they were hoaxers because if someone created an a lighter than air, that something that could fly through the air, the newspapers would have published it. And since no one published it, it can't be true, because if it was true, someone would have published it. So this is what we're up against now. But we are getting some movement in the UFO field. And like this quote, civilization is always a race between education and catastrophe. But the main reason, and I love this, people are not seeing UFOs, I mean, some of us are, of course, is because they are always looking at their phone. That's one of my favorite little jokes there. But just a quick history of UFOs. 1947, June, Kenneth Arnold flying over Mount Rainier saw these silver discs skipping over the mountains there. And that was same month, there was a series of that same week, really, a series of flying saucers, they were called. So the thing that Kenneth Arnold said when he landed, he said he saw flying saucers, and that just went around the world, that term, from Kenneth Arnold's little flight over Mount Rainier to everywhere people were talking about flying saucers. So this is Fort Myers, Florida. This is the Albuquerque Journal. And then, of course, the Roswell crash that week. And captures flying saucer right there. And then the next day we get this headline: Army debunks Roswell flying saucer. Everything's okay. Go back to work. So, things have not changed since then. There's a picture of Jesse Marcel holding a parts of a balloon, an air balloon that they said came down. But look at the look on Jesse Marcel's face. It's like, are you kidding me? So the real thing is what Colonel Corso said, that alien technology has been harvested from the Roswell crash and directly put into industry, integrated circuits, chip, lasers, fiber optics, particle beams, electromagnetic propulsion system. This all came out of Roswell, supposedly, and put into private industry, which is really what we're up against now. Private industry is benefiting from the UFO crash retrievals. This is what Harry Truman said. I could show you that flying saucers, given they exist, are not connected to any power on Earth. So the 40s were big, the early 50s. This memo from the FBI files was historic, saying the investigation of the Air Force stated that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered from New Mexico. This is after Roswell. This was another recovery. And they describe it as 50 feet in circumference with 3 bodies of human shape, only 3 feet tall. This is in the FBI records. You can go to the Guy Huddle memo and see this actual document. And so it's out there, but most people just ignore it. In 1952, we had this flyover of the Capitol, and it goes on and on. And of course, we went from flying saucers to UFOs, and now we're here in a rebranding, unexplained aerial phenomena, which has now been changed to unexplained anomalous phenomena. So this is where we're at. And then we got this article in the New York Times that said Eric Davis was talking to Defense Department about retrievals of off-world vehicles. And he concludes, we could not make this ourselves. And then you get this report from Kirkpatrick, who was the head of Arrow, just recently saying this.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, Arrow has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. I should also...
Can you hear that? Is that good? Yes? Okay.
Yes, we can hear it.
Come out and say, not only have we found off-world vehicles, but we're reverse engineering them. And then this guy comes out from this kind of weird, strange rogue organ, or he's actually put up by the Pentagon to say
the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained, that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals.
I mean, that's the cover up there, right there. That's there. And they keep coming out with it. So we'll have to discuss what we're going to do about it. But now this guy, has everyone seen the Gary Nolan videos? You have? Anyone have not seen this? Did you see it, Sheila?
I did, but you could go ahead and share because there may be a lot of people who have not.
Well, this was the first bomb drop last year at the SALT Talks in New York by Gary Nolan when he was asked this question by the moderator at this very fancy conference in New York.
I'm curious, do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time and it's still here. And it has basically, people talk about the wow signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The wow signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
So that was a huge, like, oh my God, really? So that was it. And then he follows it up with this because, even though people have said this for a long time, the interviewer was stunned. Look at his face.
And that statement seems so incredible that it's tough to believe, right? Like, people hear that, and maybe a lot of people hear that, and they don't believe it.
Like this guy, he finds it tough to believe.
And so I'm curious, if you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
What do you think he says? Well, 100%.
100%. And that's not just my opinion. I mean, look, the National Defense Appropriation Act, passed last year, signed by Biden in December. 30 pages of that is the establishment of an unidentified aerial phenomenon office, the establishment of looking into the harm that's happened to any of a number of the individuals, going back to 1945 and looking at the disinformation and misinformation that has been basically articulated over the decades. 12 US senators have signed on to a document that basically says we want the information. The establishment of an office, Arrow, in the Department of Defense, has 25 people working in it right now. And what's their goal? Collecting the information across all of the U.S. Department of Defense intelligence offices, and collation of that into a uniform format for the very first time, and provision of that then to Congress, the creation of a whistleblowers program specifically that allows people from within, who, I'm going to say this, who've been working on the reverse engineering programs.
Just said what the other guy completely denied, and what the report that just came out a few weeks ago said, no, we don't have any alien craft, nothing. So he just contradicted that. And I believe Gary Nolan.
Engineering of objects so that they can come in and break their oaths, but it's specifically just to talk to Congress and give that information in classified settings. And that the most recent one that happened was just last weekend, and it created quite a hornet's nest in Washington.
Well, that hornet's nest was what came down on June 5th with this guy, David Grush. This was the guy that broke, he basically went against the people who said you can't talk about this. And this was really the first government insider who came forward, 25 years in the intelligence service. And he said,
David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted.
And this was huge. this was a disclosure that no one was expecting, but we all hoped for.
Former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval,
So people appointed by Congress to investigate the UFOs, the crash, were denied access to them.
what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Well, the document I just showed at the beginning of the show that came out and said there's no alien craft or any sign of it, there's no crash retrieval, is actually calling this intelligence officer a liar. They're actually saying this guy fabricated the whole thing, and he's coming forward as a whistleblower, and a whistleblower is someone who reports on government illegal activity. That's just like, and they are, they're talking to nonpartisan appointees, inspector generals, about the whistleblower, where they cannot be kind of threatened. I mean, he has been threatened, but he came forward, talked to the inspector general, and then was given the okay to give these interviews. So anyway, one more follow-up here, which is another.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
Okay, this one.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
So I've got to be blunt about this. Yeah. You're not making this up. This is not a lie.
No, absolutely not.
Because everybody watching this right now is looking at your face. They're going, is this guy for real?
I am for real. And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
Now that's the thing here. He's been threatened by people in the Pentagon who are, keeping secrets from Congress and other, agencies to do these black development funded programs and this secret technology. So that's the shock that people are finally waking up to. What? We've been lied to. I mean, all of us have already known this is true. So this is not news to us, but it is news to, 200 million Americans and people around the world that there's something else going on here, and that the government and the Air Force and all these people. But the incredible thing is they're still lying to us. there's two sides inside the Pentagon, one that's coming out and saying, no, 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 there's something here. And then it's like, no, don't pay attention to the person behind the curtain. It's like that. And so this is really, in a sense, a constitutional issue if it comes to that. So, but it is.
Alan, I really have a hard time believing that anybody's going to believe this new document that came out, because if they're following the government opinion and if they followed any of the congressional hearings at all and how those testimonies impacted Congress, plus on top of that, it gave voice to so many more people to have courage to start sharing their stories. There are hundreds and thousands of people who have been on craft, who see craft, who photograph, who have videos, who have, face-to-face contact with beings, who work with them in meditation. There are so many people that are waking up to this that I really, the people that watch the nightly news, yeah, they might believe it. But the reality of it is the majority of the people who have had these experiences, I don't think that this document's going to phase them.
But do you see how it's a whole spectrum of consciousness? This group, Sheila, and everyone here is at the cutting edge. This is not news. Of course, we're interacting with them, right, Kevin? Kevin's talking to them all the time and other people. And, so many people are interacting with this other level. And then there's people like in kindergarten, in a sense, like, what? How could this be true? No one told me this is real. And this is the spectrum of humans, on all levels. And I think we have to come into some kind of unification. But the good thing is, because of that congressional hearing, Congress themselves are saying, really? I mean, we've been lied to by our own military establishment, and it's starting to create a lot of tension. And, supposing if you listen to the Constitution, there is no room for rogue organizations inside the government. They all have to report to Congress and the president. And obviously, there's been illegal activities going on inside the government that
yes,
people are getting aware of. Based on what you just said, Sheila, I just want to show one other thing that shows. And then there's also the Schumer. This was everyone in front of Congress there, Grush and everyone else. And then there's here. Let me just place this. Wait, where's this? Okay. This guy's in Congress. He says to.
At one point, you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured. And the activity, and I got
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
No, but it's not just what he witnessed from the craft. It's also people inside the government threatening people and maybe harming people
At one point,
for getting out the secret. Here, let me just see. Oh. Here. This one, Gillibrand is interested in that. Oh, this is a press conference that was given sort of after this. And this is bipartisan. There's Republicans and Democrats working together against Pentagon authorities. So it really brought the Congress together in ways that we wouldn't have expected.
I've studied this issue for quite some time, and honestly, it just kind of fell in my lap up here.
Burchett, who's really leading the charge in the House of Representatives, and this is Republican representative from Florida, Luna.
It's unacceptable that any mid-level unelected bureaucrat staffers can tell members of Congress that we are not allowed to access information about UAPs. Let me be clear that we are the representatives.
Unacceptable. It's probably illegal, and we just need someone to come forward and make the case. I mean, we need a leader to say, hey, what's going on?
Of the elected, or that of people that sent us here to do the right thing. Unelected bureaucrats do not get to say what we can and cannot see. We've had 3-star generals tell us that we did not have authorized access to this information. But yet, how do you expect us to continue to send taxpayer money to fund government projects if you're not even allowing us to see what those projects are? And I say that because, as some of you know, we have been consistently hearing that we do not have the authorized clearances, again, by people not elected to office. Let me repeat this. The people's representatives, members of Congress who sit on Judiciary, Armed Services, and the oversight committees are being denied access to this information. But if we do not have the clearance, who does? Does this sound like a truly free country?
Well, she's finally waking up to something.
I've studied it.
And we are here.
This guy, Moskowitz from he makes the point that you saw.
Good morning, good afternoon, I should say now. So I'm happy to be here with the folks that have really been talking about this since the beginning of Congress. This is not something that I thought I would get involved in when I first came to Congress. But quite frankly, the reason why I got involved is as we started asking questions, legitimate questions, the pushback we got is what interests me. Every time we pulled a thread and we stumbled on something, it seemed that we would get stonewalled. And so, NASA has stated that the term UAP does not necessarily imply extraterrestrial origin, which means we could be making these things domestic. And so, look, if these are advanced technologies, we're not interested in hurting national security, but we are interested in knowing what these UAPs are. You have the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office that was in the NDAA in 2022. And they have said, so the government has said, there's 366 reports of UAPs. A number of them they will not classify. They cannot explain to us. Some they say are weather balloons, some they say is clutter, some they say are other anomalies, but then there are a bunch that they don't explain. And I think you see not just a bipartisan approach here in the House, but you see a bicameral approach with Senator Chuck Schumer and what he's trying to accomplish. And that really just is transparency and disclosure.
That's all we're asking for, is transparency and disclosure. And like always, we're the last to know. But Congress is now saying, what? We were lied to? And I don't know why this is not getting bigger coverage, but then you also have people like Chuck Schumer coming forward, who's saying, with this amendment, Chuck Schumer, who's the New York senator and the head of the Senate, is saying, here, let me just show you this one last thing, and then I'll bring it back into a discussion here. Schumer is saying this, and he put forth the Schumer Amendment, which says, let's play this here. The Schumer Amendment says the American public has the right to learn about technologies of unknown origins, non-human intelligence, and unexplainable phenomena. He actually puts non-human intelligence in the congressional record. And of course, well, not of course, but this was not approved by certain members who are being paid off by I guess, industry insiders who are developing the technologies from this. So this part of the amendment was cut out of the National Authorization Act. And so Chuck Schumer was denied his thing. He says this, though: non-human intelligence means any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, that may be presumed responsible for UAPs, unidentified anomalous object, of which the government has become aware, meaning he's become aware. And so what the Pentagon just put out is saying nothing's here. This is creating a lot of tension in Washington. And there's not enough news on this. Why aren't people reporting this? And it should be reported. Let's see, let me just see what this is. That's John Mack. But John Mack, I'll come to that, does have a lot to say on the topic because he was one of the leaders in the field. I just want to, I guess I don't have to show you what this is. Yeah, let me just show you what John, I guess it's time to, does everyone know who John Mack is?
Maybe not everyone.
John Mack said people are having experiences, they're real experiences, they're not going crazy, and this is really about consciousness. So we have the Pentagon or the people, the military, like just trying to make weapons out of the crash retrieval. Then we have private industry trying to make technology that they've gotten from the government to increase their profits. And really, if they're getting technology from crash retrievals from government, then someone inside the Pentagon's getting a kickback monetarily for giving those secrets that really belong to the American people, if there's such a thing, on the technology. It's not private industry that owns that technology. It's the Pentagon, the government, the people, whatever you want to call it. But it's illegal if they're selling technology from crash retrievals to private industry. I'm saying the Pentagon selling crash. This is my theory. Then someone's making money outside the government. I mean, maybe that's not all that's happening. I'm just making that up, but that's the only reason I would think that the secret is really being kept. It's not about aliens. Who cares about aliens? It's about money and technology. You know, what's the big deal? There's aliens there, whatever they are. But,
and Alan, this is literally just the tip of the iceberg when you start to look at disclosure. So I can see how the Department of Defense comes in, puts out some type of document like this, because if people wholeheartedly embrace the concept that the government has been lying to them for all of these years, they're going to then start asking questions about the missing money and all other types of things that really need to be disclosed, including healthcare, big pharma, etc.
Right. And who's really running the country? Is it the military that's always making wars and wanting more weapons? Or is it elected officials that, some of them want war, but it's really, they're representing the people. People do not want war. They just want to, have a nice life, feed their family, and not worry about
ascend.
We are having some big controversies that come out because Pluto is returning to its origins in the start. And I think around 1776, Pluto has made it just a one great year revolution. So Pluto, the disruptor, is now back and disrupting a lot of elements of government. Plus, astrologically, Pluto also entered the house of Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, which is connected to the, I think, UFOs, really off-planet beings. But the other thing that I think the government's having a hard time with is how do you explain consciousness? Because they can't understand the phenomena from a purely technological point of view, because it's not just technology, it's affecting people. If you've seen a UFO, you've been affected by it, and your consciousness has been altered. That's one of the main things that happen. And let me just share this other screen thing. Let me just show you what John Mack says here, which is, we're dealing with a phenomenon which violates our sense of reality, which operates in the gray area between the objective physical world and the subjective physical world. Well, how can anything do that by the understanding of reality that we know. So John Mack says, we're being asked to prove this by methods of physical science. This is not just a physical situation. It represents consciousness on many, many levels. So these methods will not yield its secrets until we discover other ways of knowing that don't involve normal, logical ways of understanding. It's not about A plus B equals C. There's another level of intuition and possibilities and activations and ways of understanding that are not what we've called makes sense in the normal way, but they're very intuitive. I think, Kevin, you're dealing with that all the time. Bridget is, Stone is, I know these people here, and you're dealing with this non-logical parts of our awareness, and that's what we need to be educated about. And that's what we're not getting from people just worrying about technology. Oh, we can't understand the technology. We've reversed engineered. But it's a much bigger ball game than just technology or even Jacques Vallée. If Jacques Vallée says, if I found out that it's just like tourists from other star systems visiting the Earth, I'll be very disappointed. So it's not just about being visited, it's about being upgraded as a population. And I think that's what we're being kind of repressed in understanding, that the evolution of consciousness is really what's at stake here. And it's not just technology. And that's what the Pentagon doesn't want people to know about, because they don't want us to evolve. But we're in a moment of evolution right here and at a crossroads. And how many people are going to be open to other phenomena that's outside their normal cultural paradigm that we've been conditioned and brainwashed to think? And how many of us are going to open to, well, everyone here is pretty open, I have to say. So we've already turned the corner, but we're still a minority, don't you think, Sheila?
I think that the minority is growing, to be honest. Because as I said, so many more people are now coming forward. I mean, there's countless books being written. There's all types of videos and photographs that are being leaked on the internet. And so I think that, as this continues, I mean, all people have to do is look up in the sky between the unique cloud formations and the photographs. People are picking up energy streams coming from children playing. People are picking up orbs. Stone has a phenomenal collection of orbs and many other photographs as well. But, so many people are having these contacts. And also the very fact that the Navy has released all of these documents and photographs that show UFOs, UAPs, whatever they want to call them now. Let's just call them what they are. Unidentified flying objects, our friends from other places. But regardless, all of that information is coming forward. And so I think that the bigger question is how this begins to open that can of worms, so that all of the other things that are being hidden by the government begin to come out.
That's one aspect of it. Yes, the government's holding on to this little piece because that's once. Has the military been lying to us? How much do they know? What's their real technology? How much are they selling to private industry, which is probably the most illegal thing? They're selling secrets that the government, the Pentagon has from these UFOs to private industry. And I think someone's getting kickback inside military. And I think that's illegal. But the big thing I think that people aren't dealing with is with a place that John Mack came to when he first started to look at people being abducted, and he started to find out that this is real. People are having real experiences. But then he made a shift, and I wanted to share that last point with you about the shift that John Mack made. And he's no longer with us, but he was quite a warrior for truth, an amazing human being, and a psychiatrist. So he says here, oh, this is not, wait, let me play this. Sorry. Wait, let me start over.
very kind of, material. If you begin to look at these encounters, which look very kind of, material, three-dimensional beings are here, like in Mel Brooks' 2000 Year Life, oh, there's aliens here, I mean, there is some, it's very concrete, it's very physical, you can touch them, they're there. At the same time, what happens to these individuals when you go deeply into what's occurred, I mean, like Joe was referring to, something happens. If you go through the terror, they transform. They become, as Danny said, very concerned about the Earth, related to the Earth, and in a very different way, relating to other human beings in a very different way. So what, for me, started out as, arguments trying to prove there really are abductions, really true, it's really aliens here, and that, that's what Harvard got after me about. That isn't any longer what was interesting to me. What was interesting to me, yes, it's real, and we can have a philosophical discussion on the ontological status of the phenomenon, sure. But what was more profound was those encounters led to a opening of consciousness to what has been called mystical or primary religious experience or expanded consciousness. We all have our language for this. So it seemed like there was this linkage, but the central point is knowing. How do we know? What are our ways of knowing? How do we use our intuition, our whole selves, holistic knowing, knowing from the heart? That dimension of knowing, which is traditional knowing in almost every culture in the world, the sacred act of knowing. If you read some of the philosophers like Syed Nasser, who's written about this, that sacred knowing has been lost in this culture. So science, it's not that science isn't a sacred way of knowing, but it's a way of knowing that relies very much on a separation from what is being studied from the self that is doing the study. It's not an entering, a co-creative, transformative act, a sacred act of knowing through the whole being. That's not thought to be scientific. That's religious. Well, maybe the common ground is how do we think about knowing? And that's where I think they come together.
And so that's really what it's the whole question is, yeah, government can do what they do and people could be waking up, but how's our evolution of our awareness is what I think John Mack was saying. How is that like so important for the evolution of all of us, and like the church in the Middle Ages, it's like, no, we only want you to know what we want you to know. And that's sort of where we're up. And that's why everything you're doing, Sheila, is so great, because you're giving people another chance of expressing themselves and expressing their knowing. And that's why, people here are starting to bring through other consciousness and being vehicles and channels, because that is going past the programming of the linear mind, and we're accessing the field. That's where the evolution is. It's not going to be coming out of government or military, the evolution of the planet. It's always been a people's movement. That's why you're doing such a really great thing every week for the past, 3 or 4 years, twice a week, Sheila. All your stuff. Now it's worldwide. And, but that's all of us, we're all here because this is the old paradigm it's over. I mean, it's finished. They can't keep up the lie anymore. And like even the people in Congress said, what? Why are they denying us just simple understanding? So everything's falling apart within the constructions of an old reality. And all of us are waking up to this bigger part of who we are, I think. So yes.
Right. I think that's a great place for me to go ahead. And does anyone have any comments or questions that they would like to make and share at this time?
Yeah, I'd love comments because we're all in this here.
Yeah, just go ahead and put on go to your reactions button, click the little raised hand so you can be acknowledged. Okay. Hi, Bridget.
Go ahead. Either way.
Yeah, can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely, we can.
Thank
Hello.
you. Hi, yeah, good to be with you. Just so grateful to be able to be present with people that are having this conversation. And I get messages because I believe I am an Andromedan starseed. And for a few years now, I will wake up in the middle of the night and I will check in with the presences that have shown up and I'll ask, who do you serve? And if I'm getting the right answer, then, and they say, we have a message for you, then I will go ahead and get my, pad and pen and paper out. And yesterday was one of those special mornings. And it was such a huge message of hope. And
can you share it with us? Can you just share it? I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's why we're all here.
Yeah. So this, they identified themselves as being from the Andromedan Council of Light on a mission of love and light, serving the cosmic law of one, protectors of sacred laws. And they chose to speak to me because of my dedication to truth and integrity, and reminded me that I'm too hard on myself. And this is true. And they're encouraging us to be gentler if we can with ourselves. These are tremendously challenging times, and they came to assist in our service of love and light. And the message, they said, they asked if I was ready for our message. Yes. Thank you. We are most honored to bring you this message of hope for your people. For your people will be well served by it. Hope is on the way for all who serve the light. Your service and record is clear. Have no fear. You are protected. We are here to be of service. Ask and you shall receive. And they're suggesting they say you have access to many technologies to assist you at this time. And I ask, including essential oils, because I use them a lot to help raise my vibration, because they're one of the sources of very high vibration energy. Yes, and much more, they said. You are underutilizing your powers.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Bridget. That was beautiful. Thank you.
I want to say, I think what they're also suggesting is, and why I teach remote viewing, because our consciousness, it's not just consciousness, it's how you apply consciousness. So we can, through the intuitive mind, transcend time and space limitation. That's been proven over and over again, even by the CIA at the Stanford Research Institute. Their remote viewing, development is now used by so many different departments within the government. It's fantastic. So, thank you. Okay, Robert, good to see you again. What, you have a question?
Hey, Robert.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a great subject because, what we're witnessing is the people that are controlling this information, they know that they're losing control and it's going to come out and nothing can stop it. So they're trying to put the brakes on as much as they can, but they know they can't stop it ultimately. So, but also, like you were saying, Alan, that this is going to open up a huge Pandora's box of like millions of questions for people that realize, obviously, if they're lying about this, they're probably lying about that. And then there's also the fact that this is a paradigm shift, which means there's going to be, in a sense, awakening to a type of consciousness that's way different than what we're used to. So the old system is going to be going away, and we're going to be all waking up to a new reality. So it's a great topic.
Well, thank you for that. That's exactly why I present this, because I know a lot of your conversations here, Sheila, are about, people are already out there and they're already channeling and they're already activating star codes, all that. But this is the grounding of all that. Unless we kind of can move it through on the ground level, people are not going to get the fact that other people are bringing through these higher levels, because this makes it real. I mean, it's real for all of us, but for the collective consciousness that we're all a part of, there's some people you just can't talk to about this, but now you can, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay.
So Bridget.
Because
Hi,
you're
Bridget.
because
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Bridget, I missed that voice.
I missed you. I was so excited when I saw you and realized that you guys were going to be here together. It made my heart really happy. Alan, I have to say, you're the one that really helped me to understand ufology. Because as a starseed, when I found out that people only wanted to talk about the craft and not anyone that was in it or consciousness, I was totally confused. It didn't make any sense to me. And I remember we would sit and have these beautiful talks on Clubhouse pretty late at night. And you would help me understand things with that. And then we'd have these beautiful consciousness talks. But I just wanted to say,
Bridget,
I am so grateful for you.
Wait,
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
You were attacked for being too out there for some of the mainstream UFO. They think they're out there when they talk about UFOs, but you were going way, and they couldn't understand that. So anyway, yes.
Yes, and thank you for standing for me in that moment. It meant more than you will ever know. That was such an intense moment for me. But recently I've been dipping a toe into X, which is a whole new ball game. And they're talking about consciousness there. Some of them are at the beginning of it, but it's amazing to see how different ufology has changed. And some people are not all about it, but a lot of people are asking all these questions.
Right.
And I feel like we need more experienced bridges there, like you, Alan. So that's my invitation to you.
I want to do the whole thing because you need all the parts for it to like really shift to the paradigm of, this dimensional space. It's like Galileo can look at the moons of Jupiter, but unless there's the foundation that, the Earth is not the center of the universe, whatever it was called. And everyone's still stuck and saying, oh, yeah, that's interesting. But then when we ground it, I think, in the concrete reality, yes, the government has bodies and craft and technologies and it's interdimensional, then we can all shift collectively. Right, Stone? You have anything to say, Stone? Hi.
Hey, Stone.
Hello, lovelies. It's good to be here as usual, and it's good to see some beautiful faces. Yeah, I've got a question for you. What do you think about the upcoming eclipse and all the hoo-ha that's going on? In all the years that I've experienced eclipse, I've never seen this amount of government panic. It feels like it's a panic. They're warning about power outages, they're closing schools, they're recommending you get your bug out bags ready for at least 3 days and your medical supplies. And it's like, this is I've never experienced this kind of panic over this sort of thing before.
It's not happening to that degree here, I don't think. Where are you again? New Zealand, Australia?
I'm in New Zealand, but I'm seeing it. It's in different countries around the globe coming out with information and stuff. I'm looking at all the other government information that's come out recently about, UFOs or whatever they're calling them these days. And that's another thing, changing the labels. You're absolutely right. The government does not want us to know the full facts because they are so deep in it that just by coming out and confessing to one of their lies, it's going to open up a can of worms everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
Feel about the eclipse, they're always trying to scare people. Look what they did the last 3 years. They stay home, don't talk to people. It's just another level of control. And if eclipse comes along that suits their, agendas, then I don't think it's going to be a big deal, really, because we've had eclipses all the time. We'll get to Phil Gruber's idea about that at some authority. Phil, we'll get to you. Don't say anything yet. We'll have to, but thanks, don't. It's not a big deal for me. Okay.
Thanks, Stone. Hi, Carol.
Oh, hi there, Sheila. How are you? How is Willow? Yeah. Hey, I just want to thank everybody, everybody, to have the support, instead of me being on my own. I had a conventional life with the corporate world and then my unconventional life, saw a UFO, and had a near death, and I was told to go back and give out. So now I teach like you, Alan. I teach remote viewing. I teach transcending levels of consciousness, the history of UFOs and my near-death experience, but it's all about consciousness. I'm in 7 groups, but the only group I get, they're all on Zoom except for one, and I actually physically travel across Toronto, Canada, the city of Toronto, and we meet in a group. And I also, we had a show at the Hyatt Regency Hotel recently with a knowledge book. There's a woman in Turkey, she's in touch with the ETs. And they dictated to her, and she's written a book called The Knowledge Book, right? So, and that's what they want us to go up in consciousness, right? Stop warring, stop playing around with nuclear weapons, stop destroying the environment. Right? So that's to say, that's what I'm handing out. I hand out a chapter, every Friday. So I'm doing my little bit, I guess. So, yeah.
Thank you, Carol.
Carol, the government are in touch with the ETs. They're talking to them.
I know.
So that's secret behind the secret, is that the government is interacting. I mean, everyone knows that here, but it's going to shock a lot of people.
It will. Yeah, Galen, I totally agree.
Saying that it will shock people because, they need to be woken up. So thanks for that.
Yeah, I worked with a woman, and she said if they announce that, she said I'll panic. I will absolutely panic. Yeah, and in Toronto, I'm trying to tell people about consciousness, and the knowledge book, and about how they created the universe, and and how they created us, and I think Mother Teresa was right that the West were materially rich but were spiritually bankrupt.
Yes, but
But with more and more of us, yeah.
Some people, but the more we talk about this and what Sheila and everyone is doing, and Kevin, everybody, of course, my good friend Phil, it's like there's be less panic, and read my book, of course. I think Phil has one of the original copies, but we'll get to that. But let's get to Noel, and then
yeah.
Wait, just before we do, Patty had sent me a private message a while back, and I just saw it. So, Patty, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can do that for sure. My question was to Alan, but I wanted to know if he knows anything about the SWIRM group of satellites.
FWIRM.
ARM.
What is that?
Well, the Europeans sent them up. There's at least 3 of them in the team of satellites that are working, and what they're doing is monitoring the magnetic changes to planet Earth, because the strength of our protective shield has been diminishing since about 1700, and it's now reduced by at least 15% and getting weaker by the decade by about 5%. And of course, as that shield gets weaker, there's more charged particles and ions blasted out by the sun and all the stars that are warming planet Earth, because they react with the atmosphere, which is proven by looking at the aurora borealis and australis, where normally you see them, but now that it's getting weaker, you start to see them much closer or further away from the Arctic zones than before, and eventually we will probably wind up with a major polarity shift.
I know people have been talking about that, and that probably will happen at some point. And yeah, I mean,
well, so from what I understand, it of course, what will happen is when there's a lot, as the field weakens, they'll get more intrusions of these charged particles, which the sun blasts out in coronal mass eruptions and other things, and that will actually simply play havoc with our communications and etc. to the extent that we won't have any, and how long that will last for is in the lap of the gods. It could well be hundreds of years.
It could be, yeah. I mean, you're right. I think we have to take precautions now to.
Yeah, but the point is that I find it ridiculous that the governments, I would think the governments anyway, are behind making sure it doesn't get mentioned on the mainstream media. Everybody's been kept in the dark, the same as they are about the existence of UFOs.
Right.
Right. I think it is starting to be mentioned. I know that the sun is a variable star, which means it goes through its phases. Some people predicted like a real burst of sun, you know, not just a solar flare, but the sun itself will get brighter, you know. I just heard that. I don't know if it's true. But anyway, we have to go soon. But Noel, thanks, Patty. That was great. Are you in?
No worries.
Hey. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, it's Noelle. And
sorry,
two things, I'll make it quick. One of them is, you know, there are probably multiple agencies that want to keep this covered up, but also the star people aren't necessarily coming out either. So, you know, if they wanted to, they could land on the US Capitol or the White House and broadcast themselves. So they're not wanting to come out in a big way either. And what I'm noticing is the people that they do come to. You were talking, Alan, about how having experience with star people expands consciousness, and it goes the other way as well. Is that what I'm seeing is that star people are attracted by people who have expanded consciousness.
That's true. I think it does go both ways. So
goes both ways. Goes both ways. Yeah, I always wondered why me, and then I started to see you guys and started to see our commonality. Expanded consciousness. Yeah. All right. So those are my two comments.
Thank you, Noelle. Hey, Kim.
Phil Gruber. Phil, talk to me. Phil. I guess he's mute. Did we lose him? Sheila?
Maybe. I don't see. I think he teaches tonight, so I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and go to Kevin. Kevin, you had your hand up. Hi,
Kevin.
how are you? Kevin Briggs.
Hi, Sheila. Hi,
Hi.
Alan. How are you doing?
Good to see you.
Just a simple question, really. We're moving forward clearly towards the reveal. There are many people here who have their own contact with either individual extraterrestrials or councils of extraterrestrials. And my understanding is that we, the citizens of Earth, have to reach out and make the request for the reveal for our ET star families ambassadors to make their presence known. How are we going to do that? Which groups are going to be involved? Because there are many groups who have direct contact. As I said, many individuals have direct contact. And it's not down to one individual or one group. How can we, as collective group, reach out to our ET star families and make that request?
We all have to do it. It's not one group. It's a collective. We all have to get it from as many different corners and possibilities as we can, because obviously the government, it really isn't in charge of this. And it is up to what Noel said, in a way, the phenomenon, but they're waiting for us to grow up, you know, and we have to clean up the mess we made here on the planet, which, you know, is really our doing. So we have to become better people and environmentally conscious, take care of each other, all those things, because so it's up to all of us. It's not one group or one person. I think that the Aquarian paradigm is that it's up to all of us together. There are no leaders. We're all, you know, we're all part.
That would be my understanding. But how do we get all these groups together to make a collective request?
Well, I don't know if it'll come together. We're all making it, we're already unified. So we're all like have a different piece of right. So I think folding.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
You're going to have to move closer to your mic, Alan. We hear a lot of disruption, but we don't hear you.
Okay.
And Phil is back. Phil is back, so we can hear him now.
Hi, Phil.
Hi. Hi, Alan. It's great to see everybody. I don't think Alan is talk. Can everybody hear me?
Oh, yes.
Hear you. Yeah.
I don't think Alan has talked about the next few books that are coming out. The actual follow-up to Making Contact.
What's that?
With ETs. I have the original galley proof here. It's Making Out with ETs. Making Out.
That was a secret. Yes.
Yes, I know. And there's another book that Alan has coming down the pike. It's about people that are pretending to have contact with aliens. This one is called Faking Contact.
Right.
Contact. And the one that I'm most excited about, Alan, I think he hasn't told everybody, but he just got back from Antarctica. On a mission to retrieve crashed UFOs.
Yeah.
Antarctica was very cold, I know. So Alan's going to write a book, Take Me to Your Heater, about his experiences in Antarctica.
Well, I think that mustache is doing you well. So
Thank you. I'm doing my best to look like a deposed Latin American dictator. Thank you very much. Yeah, but it's great to see everybody. And
great to see everyone. And Kristen, he almost saw you there, and we'll see you, and of course Gary and Kevin and Joanne. Anyway, it's good to be back with the gang. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been great. So, as we start to close things down, do you have any final comments for anyone?
Indeed. Yeah, this is a major of change, and the people who are worried about the government's high. I think it is going to be 2024 the year of the dragon, all that. This is the beginning of this next phase of civilization. Working our way up there. Me and Phil have been slugging in the trenches, but we've gotten here, Phil. And no, this is the big shift, right? So I think this is going to be a major turning point in civilization as more people the fact that not just the government's been lying, but we're part of a bigger cosmos, really, and we all know that. And we have to cultivate the superconscious awareness that is coming through this non-local consciousness that we're part of. That's why I teach remote viewing, because it's all an aspect of transcending time and space and the application of consciousness. And when I talked to Deepak Chopra about making contact, he says, oh, it's all consciousness. I said, no, Deepak, the application of consciousness is key. How do we use the facility of consciousness to project future possibilities in a positive way? So it's not just that it's all consciousness. How do we use it practically? And I learned that from Phil Grouper, at least some of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for being here with us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you. You always bring forward awesome content. There's great discussions. So thank you so much again for being here. So everybody, you've been watching the Conscious Awakening Network with Alan Steinfeld tonight, enlightening us. If you have missed part of the presentation, please be sure to rewatch it from the very beginning, share it with your friends, and, remember to look up, because you just never know what you're going to see. And so, Alan, before we close, I have Susie yet, but I wanted to, okay, yeah.
People can get my book, Making Contact, on Amazon. No advance copies, Phil. And my YouTube channel, youtube.com/new realities. Thank you, Sheila. Really great to see all my old friends here. It's been quite a while. And Susie, take it away. If you want. Sheila, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Just go ahead, Susie.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm trying something new. This is, would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? And would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't yet belong here in heaven. And would you hold my hand if I saw you on a spaceship? And would you help me stand if I visited you on your spaceship? I'll find my way through night and day, 'cause I know I just can't stay yet here in heaven. Time can bring you down, time can bend your knees. Time can break our hearts and have us begging, please, begging, please. La 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 la. La la dee da da dee. Ba la la da dee. Ba la 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 la. Beyond this door, there is peace, I'm sure. And I know there'll be no more tears in heaven. Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Susie. And again, thank you, Alan, for being here. Don't forget to check out Alan's book, Making Contact. You can check it out on his website at newrealities.com. You can check him out on his YouTube channel, New Realities. So don't forget to visit him there. And also, don't forget to sign up to be on our mailing list if you haven't already done so. So until we're all back together again next week, thank you so much for being here. Much love to everyone, and namaste. Thanks so much. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.